San Diego, California, home of the U.S. Navy's Southwest region, was the venue for the December organizational meeting of the American Veterans Committee for Puerto Rico Self-Determination. For 2 days, organizers used the facilities of the world-famous Del Coronado Hotel for this inaugural venue. The group's honorary chairman made a statement on behalf of the organization.
My name is Admiral Horacio Rivero, United States Navy, retired. I'm a former Vice Chief of Naval Operations and U.S. Ambassador to Spain. My entire career has been dedicated to serving our nation. I'm speaking to you today as Honorary Chairman of the American Veterans Committee for Puerto Rican Self-Determination. The committee is an independent, nonpartisan organization that is committed to a congressionally sanctioned process that will allow the people of Puerto Rico to make an informed decision to end the island's territorial status in favor of one that offers full political rights. Today, I join other veterans from Puerto Rico and throughout the nation to raise an issue that goes to a fundamental tenet of American democracy that I have spent my life defending, namely self-determination. Specifically, I'm seeking the support of all Americans for a process of self-determination for the 3.8 million U.S. citizens in my homeland of Puerto Rico. As many Americans know, Puerto Rico has been a United States territory since 1898, and U.S. citizenship was extended to its residents in 1917. The political status of Puerto Rico is currently that of Commonwealth, whereby the island has achieved a large measure of local self-government. However, what many Americans may not realize is that the American citizenship enjoyed by Puerto Ricans is not equal to that of their fellow Americans who reside in the 50 states. While Puerto Ricans became citizens in 1917, they were not provided with voting representation in the U.S. Congress, nor the right to vote for president. It is most appropriate that American veterans from Puerto Rico join with other veterans from the mainland in speaking out for self-determination for the island and for full political rights. Since 1917, 200,000 U.S. citizens from Puerto Rico have served valiantly in every conflict in which our nation has fought in defense of democratic principles and self-determination. Yet, the sad irony is that other patriotic Puerto Ricans and I, who proudly served in the U.S. Armed Forces, led by a commander-in-chief for whom we could not vote, and authorized by a Congress in which we have no voting representation. The colonial nature of Puerto Rico's relationship with the United States goes against the core American values. Puerto Rico is, as has been said, the unfinished business of American democracy. Unfortunately, efforts in Congress to address the 100-plus year Puerto Rico status dilemma have too often been marked by misinformation, misunderstanding, and unnecessarily harsh rhetoric. The American Veterans Committee aims to help foster a constructive dialogue that would lead to enactment of legislation to authorize a meaningful process for Puerto Rican self-determination. Disenfranchised Puerto Ricans recognize that we need help to make this happen, and we're not alone in this pursuit. The fundamental unfairness of the current political status has not been lost on non-Puerto Rican veterans who served side by side with our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters. That is why we are proud to be joined in this effort by, among others, the American GI Forum, the largest Hispanic veterans organization in the United States. Together, with your help, we can bring about real change in Puerto Rico that will, after 100 years, make the U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico equal partners in the American democratic ideal. Thank you.
During the December organizational meeting of the American Veterans Committee for Puerto Rico Self-Determination, held at the Del Coronado Hotel in San Diego, California, participants took the opportunity to present their views.
Puerto Rico is a ward of Congress. I mean, it is the Congress of the United States who ultimately has the ability to determine the future of Puerto Rico. Now, Congress basically has said we will recognize and we will accept Puerto Rico's decision whenever Puerto Rico makes that decision. The problem is that without a very specific formulas espoused by the Congress saying, no, if state is going to be the alternative, these are the conditions, these are, with all the fine print there, and this is the transition period, and this is how, it's going to happen. If it's going to be independence, this is the way it's going to happen. This is the definition. Are all the details sorted out. Or if there's a Commonwealth or enhanced Commonwealth or an associated republic or whatever we want to call it, that other alternative, then it is a Congress who has to lay that in very, very clear detail so that the people of Puerto Rico can make an intelligent decision.
This is a civil rights issue. It's untenable, totally untenable, that Congress has not passed legislation guaranteeing that whatever status the Puerto Rican people choose as a matter of self-determination will be guaranteed and will be honored by Congress. That's why we're here. It's a civil rights issue that 3.8 million Puerto Ricans, American citizens, are disenfranchised, do not have a right to vote for a representative or representatives with the right to vote in Congress, and do not have a right to vote for the President of the United States.
I think that we're in an ideal situation, in an ideal position, the American GI Forum is, because we're an established organization. We're a highly respected organization. Our position is valued in Washington, D.C. and throughout the country. We get involved with civil rights issues, and I think this is a civil rights issue. We have a group of individuals who are citizens, but have not been treated as equal citizens and have been provided equal access to the democratic process in America. And I think that's our role here, is to ensure through our membership and getting the word out that we need to support self-determination for the Puerto Rican community.
Every country, every nation should be in a position to decide what they want to be in the future. And up to now, we have not been able to do that, simply because we don't have the proper representation in Congress, and therefore Congress is indifferent, really, to our needs in that respect. And if Congress doesn't back a plebiscite or some kind of referendum whereby our people can tell the world what we really want as our final political solution, then we're not going anywhere. And I think that self-determination is basic to any and all nations or states, in order that its people will be able to manifest what they really feel, what they really want to be.
I think it is time that Puerto Rico started, working for their statehood and get that representation that they need. Because as a second-class citizen, you never get anywhere, and you have to get out there and to prove to the rest of the United States that, hey, you're just as much as a citizen as anybody else is, and you do go out there and fight for your country as anybody else does.
I think that we would be very supportive of Puerto Rico becoming our 51st state. Obviously, I think our Hispanic community would welcome that. We would be elated by it. I think that we would gain a great deal of support regarding our particular issues, which are the issues of America, to have equal access, to make us a better citizen, to improve our conditions, to give us to allow us to speak our own language, as many Americans are beginning to learn other languages, because they realize, we all realize, that the marketplace of America is getting smaller. We need a global perspective. I think that all Americans would welcome this.
What we see is having veterans speak for this and talk to their fellow veterans and eventually to their elected representatives and senators here in the mainland to basically get the message that this is something that we owe to about 3.8 million Puerto Ricans who live in Puerto Rico, who have been citizens since 1917, but they don't enjoy the full benefits of citizenship in the United States, and are kind of considered disenfranchised to a certain degree and second-class citizens.